Hello everybody, welcome back to Nakayoshi Mondays, but it's not Monday, it's Wednesday, so it's a Nakayoshi Wednesday, yay! So this time, I am not by myself, I am with not one, but two of our members. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Anyone go first?
Yes. I'm RiiRii.
Yay!
I'm Ayu. Hello.
Yay!
So today's a very special episode because it's a Christmas episode. Yay! As you can probably hear right now, I'm a little nasally, well, more nasally than usual because I'm a little bit congested, kind of sick, don't know what it is. It's not Corona, so yay!
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. But we're going to be muscling through this podcast today. So we do have an opening topic, and it is, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Christmas? RiiRii, would you like to start off?
So for me, it's always the color red. It's my favorite color, so whenever Christmas comes around, I get a little bit extra excited. Because everything's red.
Do you wear red all the time then during Christmas?
Like, it's my favorite color, but it's not one I wear a lot.
It's kind of a hard color to wear, isn't it? Because it attracts so much attention.
And I'm more like an
I don't want people looking at me.
kind of person when it comes to clothes.
More neutral? I understand that, same. I don't want people staring at me. What about you, Ayu? What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Christmas?
Technically, there's two things, but I guess the main one is like cold weather, because I look forward to cold weather all year. Since living in Texas, we don't really get cold weather that much. But like for Christmas in particular, I think about all the lights and all the decorations. It's like my favorite part about the holiday season is seeing everyone's lights outside. So that's what I think of.
I think of a similar thing when I think about Christmas. I always think of the snow, the ice, and all the terrible things that happen with the snow and the ice. It's always something every year with slipping on ice and everything. So hopefully that doesn't happen this year. Because let's think about it. So
it's funny that I'm the only person who doesn't think about ice and accidents and stuff. Because it's so snowy and icy here that it's nothing. It's just part of everyday life.
What's that like? What's that like? I think in my entire lifetime, I've seen snow in Texas 4 times, and it's always been like, just like a real quick, like little snowfall that melts almost immediately. Like I think there was only one time where the snow actually lasted for like a whole day, but it was only enough to just barely cover the ground. It wasn't really anything exciting.
It covers the ground from like December to April.
I have to go visit. I want to see it.
You're welcome anytime.
That's so long.
Once you're actually able to travel again.
Yeah.
So today for our first music break, we have a special cover from me and RiiRii. Would you like to introduce it?
Yes. So this is Macaron Macaron by Type 2 Sweetie Beats, which is me and Kero. And it is brilliantly mixed by Ai.
Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2.君が好きなもの教えてよねその全部君と愛したみたいんだもん君のでかい夢教えてよねその全部いつも応援してみたいならあんまり君を知らないけれどスマホでいてよね受け止めるから絶対マカマカマカロニマカロン美味しいものが好きなんだねお料 実はすごく一生懸命物知りなとこ
めちゃめちゃ好きだよ。
ありがとう何事にも頑張れるそんな季節
私のお願い聞いてみてね。
どんな日も優しい笑顔じゃなくていいんだよ私の想いを聞いてみてね無理はしてないか心配になっちゃうの
さまざまな表情を
してくたびに増えてく絆を守らせてよね
ずっと
なかなかなかになったら泣きたい夜をバナナ君が浮かんで
急に嬉しい。
豆じゃないけど自由人だし真剣な時
ふざけてるけど
めちゃめちゃ愛しいダメな部分もなんかね最高に変わっちゃうの
初めて感じた気持ち
一生この人といたいそのうち恋が終わってその次愛が始まる
愛してる。
本当に美味しいものが好きなんだね
お料理君にもっともっと作ろう。
またお勉強実はすごく一生懸命物知りなとこめちゃめちゃ好きだよありがとう何事にも頑張れるそんな季節
Okay, that was Macaroni Macaron by Type 2 Sweeta Beaties. Yay. So, that video, it is uploaded to the Goodbye Loser channel. I did that because we're both in the group, and I used art from the group, so I'm like, you know what? It's gonna go in the group. So that's what happened. I tried with this video more than usual to play with the animations. Like, some parts look good, some parts a little funky. I don't know. What did you guys
I thought it
think?
was cute.
I thought it looked good.
It was super cute.
Because I want to try to do more animation stuff like that. So, like, with our future videos, like, they'll probably look a little bit better than just, like, flash ups. I don't know.
Yeah, I liked the animations. I thought they were cute.
Was it hard to mix? She was also our mixer. What did you think of the song?
I liked the song. The mix itself actually wasn't that bad. I had a little bit of trouble with it at first just because, like, the volumes wouldn't balance right. But once I got that under control, it was, like, no problem, and I got it done real fast. But I will say, ever since working on that song, all I can think about is Love Live's Natsuiro Egao de 1-2 Jump, because it sounds so similar to me. And that song was stuck in my head constantly.
I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Yeah, like the whole time I was working on the mix, that song would be stuck in my head afterwards.
It's such a Love Live-esque song. We should do a Love Live cover next.
Yes, let's do it.
So for our first segment of today, it's Anotoki no Omoire, a memory from that time. In this segment, the members of GBL will share a memorable Christmas moment with the audience. There is no pretense, meaning it doesn't have to be the best, the happiest, the saddest, the scariest, the whatever. It just has to be a memory that stands out to you specifically. So, I actually have an order here. Actually, I was going to say, who wants to go first? I'm like,
I do.
I'm lying. You go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a story about how my parents tried to convince me Santa was real once I started figuring out that the one coming to our house every year might just be my dad. So, I don't know if it's a Swedish thing or if it exists in other countries, but you usually get your dad to dress up as Santa, and then you go with the excuse every year for some reason that he's gonna go out and buy the paper, like on Christmas Day for some reason, and then he comes back and he has all the gifts, and he's dressed up as Santa. But I was onto this, and I was like, if Dad leaves the house on Christmas this year, I'm going to stop believing in Santa. So my parents calls around, and they get, like, not a lot of people are going to be willing to go to non-family's house and dress up as Santa on Christmas, because they wouldn't be with their families. But somehow they got my choir teacher to dress up as Santa. And I was so shocked. And somehow I believed in Santa for at least another couple of years after that. So that was cute and nice and funny.
Oh, it's so nice, though, that your teacher would do that for you. I think that is, so, like, in Sweden, like, everyone's family does this. They do, like, their dad pretends to go out and comes back as Santa. Like, don't you guys talk, though, when you're kids? And doesn't
I don't know
like...
how it doesn't, I mean, I guess some kids are more gullible than others, and I was a very gullible child, maybe.
I would feel like, isn't that a little strange that, like, my friend's dad does the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know how it doesn't get...
I guess when it's just, like, it's the normal thing, no one really thinks about it that much or
maybe
questions it, I guess.
So is there, like, a story saying, like, dads and Santas can't be in the same room?
Well, not really, but yeah, it's just agreed upon. Yeah.
Okay. I like that story. That was a sweet story.
That was a sweet story.
So, Ayu, you're next. Share with us that Christmas memory.
Mine's kind of cheesy, and it's actually just from last year. So I guess for, like, background context, like, the last few years of Christmas have just been more of, like, a stressor than anything. Like, something would happen that would just make it not really feel like Christmas and just make it really stressful. But, like, last year was the first year that, like, I was able to really just enjoy it and have it feel like Christmas. And I started this, like, new tradition, and it's really, like, silly, but it makes me happy, so I'm going to share it. But last year, I think it was on Christmas Eve, my boyfriend actually came over, and him and I were working on making Christmas, like, sugar cookies together, like, frosting them and decorating them. And while we were waiting for them to cool, we just started up, like, this really old video game, and ended up beating the game from, like, December to March. And we decided that that's going to be, like, our new tradition. So from now on, like, every Christmas, we're going to, like, start the game from scratch and play it all the way through again. And, like, it's cheesy, and it's not really Christmassy, but it makes me think of Christmas, and it makes me happy, so
Aww.
there you go.
Well, that's a good tradition. You have something to do together every year now.
Yeah, and it's, like, the first, like, tradition that I've started on my own that wasn't just, like, a tradition from my family that we just all happened to do. Like, it was my own original thing, so it's like it's special.
Oh, that sounds really nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's nice.
So I guess it's my turn. So I've been trying to think about this because I'm like, I don't really. Sounds really bad. I don't really have good Christmas memories. At least one I can't think of.
Definitely happens.
But one year, it was a few years ago. I don't remember the exact year. But I got this idea that I wanted to bake a lot of things and like make it look really fancy and nice. And I have a cough coming on. 1 second. Okay. So one year I wanted to really just go all out and bake these nice cookies and everything, nice brownies, all these pastries and stuff. And this is kind of embarrassing because I've never actually told another person this in my entire life. So everyone listening to this, take this to your grave. But at the time, at the place I was working at, there was somebody that I kind of really liked. And I wanted to do something special for him, so I thought this would be something nice to do for him. And it took me about a month or so to plan it out, like exactly what I'm going to bake, like the type of container I'm going to put it in, how I'm going to wrap it. And I was just spending all this time trying to make it look nice. And then my excuse was, so it didn't seem weird, that I was just like going all out for this one person. Like I bought other tins for other people. Like my friends and some family members. I'm like, yeah. I'm doing this for everybody. Not really. It was like they more so got the rejects of the stuff I baked. Because I was like, I wanted him to have the perfect stuff. And then I'm like, I'm going to fuck it up on the way. So I'm like, what am I going to do with the rejects? I'm like, I'll just give it to somebody else. So I spent like this whole month or so planning this out. And then when I actually came to making it, it spent me about like a day or two to bake everything. And the day came when I was like, can I give it to him and all this stuff? And then it was at work and I was like, I didn't want to do it. So I kind of left. And I like didn't give it to him and I was kind of mad at myself. So I went back. And I'm like so nervous and I'm like, I kind of don't know what to say. And I like handed it to him. I'm like, yeah, Merry Christmas. And not even within a fucking second when I gave it to him, you know what he does? He puts it to his ear. Like, you know how like a kid shakes a box? Mm-hmm. Like a new toy? He fucking does this with this fancy ass case of like, obviously like I put a lot of effort into it. It looks all fancy and prim and proper. And he takes it to his ear and he shakes the hell out of it. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I'm just thinking, I'm like, it's played out all perfectly for you. It's looking nice. So when you open it, it's going to look exactly how I wanted it to look for you. But like, you probably broke every fucking thing in there when you're shaking the hell out of it.
Gosh.
I was so mad. You should have seen my face when he started shaking the shit out of it.
Oh, gosh.
And I think the most frustrating part of it, too, is I laughed, he said thank you and all that shit. But then I never found out what he thought of the insides.
He didn't even tell you?
No, he didn't even fucking tell me.
Oh, God.
That's so rude.
Like, this is before we, like, exchanged numbers and stuff, so we just kind of saw each other at work.
Right.
And I didn't see him for, like, a month after that. But I was, like, at the same time, like, you should have fucking said something. It's like, I spent this whole time making this fancy thing for you, and then you break the shit out of it by shaking it to hell. And then you don't even tell me how it tasted. Like, it's kind of, I think it's funny now. That's why it, like, pops in my head whenever Christmas comes around, because I was kind of proud that I did something like that and managed to follow through with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought it was funny, like, the end result. And that's like my semi-happy Christmas memory.
That's a cute story, though, despite the ending. The very frustrating ending.
It was so mad. Well, we don't talk to him no more, so that's good. So this brings us to our second music break. Who did I have us? Oh, Ayu, can you introduce the next music break for us?
Yes, so the next music break is a solo cover that another member of ours did. It's Ayaka's cover of Matsuda Aya's Ne.
Yay. 'And we're back. That was Ayaka's Nah. I love that song so much that I had to bring it back for another episode.
Ayaka deserves it.
She really does. Maybe we could help her get past her 15, 20 views she brags about last episodes. So we do have a new segment. Well, semi-new. We did this in Halloween, but now we're going to do it for Christmas too. We are going to do Reddit horror stories. So, short story before I get into this, why we're bringing this segment back. We held an audition recently for a part-time group that is coming up. You will get more details soon, don't worry. But we had also a survey portion of it when people thought about their show and like what was their favorite episode. And a lot of people said they enjoyed the Halloween episode and a lot of the segments we did there because they thought it was more fun. So we're going to be doing more of this. So everyone gets to choose one story from Reddit and they'll be retelling it. But before we do that, we got to decide the order. And we're going to be doing Guess That Tune. This time, it's not just going to be a solely Hello Project song. It's going to be out of our music, a Goodbye Loser project. Are you guys ready?
If it's covers we've done, there's no way we should get this wrong.
Don't say that.
I'll probably still get them wrong.
What, you guys are going to get the first one wrong? Okay. So song number 1. Oh, wait. When you want to answer, you have to say the keyword. I forgot to do that. Yell yellow tomatoes. If you know the answer, you got to yell yellow tomatoes. We love how organized I am right now. It's cool. Okay, here we go. First song.
Yellow tomatoes.
Ayu.
Suchaka mechaka.
Yes. So you got 1 point. Okay, RiiRii, you got better catch up. She gonna show you up. Okay, song number 2.
Yellow Mirror.
RiiRii?
Nakayoshi Hokore?
Yay! So we got 1 and 1. We need somebody to break the tire breaker right now. So this song, you better both get right. I'll be disappointed if no one gets this one right.
Yellow tomatoes.
You both yelled it at the same time.
So we both get a
Okay,
point.
how we gonna break this tiebreaker? Why don't you guys say it at the same time?
Should you kind of
Oh yeah, I gotta count it down. 3, 2, 1.
Kanojo ni naritai.
Yeah. I'm happy you guys got that one right. So you're tied. How are we gonna break a tiebreaker? We technically have one more song, but we only have 4 songs, so I think you guys know it for the process of elimination.
You could flip a coin. I don't know.
Too bad we can't do rock, paper, scissors.
Let's do a Hello Project song for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Tiebreaker.
Yellow tomatoes.
Okay, count to 3 again. Somebody, you both yell it out at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
Samuine by Smilage.
Yes, you both got it right. Oh my god. Okay, one more song. This never-ending tiebreaker. Here we go.
That's it. This is the whole segment.
Yellow tomatoes.
RiiRii.
Toki wo koe, sora wo koe by Morning Musume.
Yes. So you win. So that means you get to decide the order of the Reddit stories.
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
And then Kero, and then Ayu.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with, because they're not very long, which might be a good thing, considering last time.
Oh, last time. Oh.
So this is a story about someone getting a Christmas tree. The first Christmas my now ex-husband and I spent together, we decided to buy a real Christmas tree for our apartment. To cut a long story short, it transpired that the tree was covered in tiny black worms that fell out all over the sitting room floor. In all of my Christmases, I've never seen worms on a tree like that before. It was honestly horrible, and I don't really mind bugs or wormy creatures. We had to get rid of the tree as soon as possible. It was too stressful thinking of the worms continually dropping off the branches onto the floor. Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
They're not very long, these. There's like one long one.
That was a very short story. So what was the horror story part? Wait, what happened?
But I looked them over and they're more like bad things that happened at Christmas and not actual horror stories.
Yeah.
This is kind of bad. Do we have horror? Do you guys have horror stories?
Not really.
Not
Christmas
really.
related, no.
Yeah.
What about winter related? I got a bunch of those.
I mean, I have like some like bad, I guess, stuff that happened, but it's not really like a horror story. It's more of just like that really sucks that it's happening at this time sort of thing.
Yeah, you get so much snow here sometimes that once it falls from the roof and hits a person, they die, which is terrible. But
what?
Oh my god!
So you should be really careful about
I
like
shouldn't
walking
be
close
laughing.
to buildings in winter here.
Oh my god!
I don't want to visit anymore.
How common is that?
It's not that common, especially since people are careful. Because they know it's a thing. But
I'm like, that's scary. I know, like, in Chicago, we have, like, falling icicles. They get very long, especially with the skyscrapers. They fall and hit people.
Oh, that sounds even scarier.
Yeah, there are people that get really hurt from that, too. Like, if you carry an umbrella or just watch where you're going, you're good.
Noted.
How are we gonna salvage this corner? So,
I guess we can just keep reading stories, because even though they're not like horror stories, some of them are still kind of amusing. It's like you feel bad for these people.
okay, we'll try. I'll go. I had one picked out. Let's see. This is posted by bunch of number person. Okay. This is 100% true. No word of a lie. Well, basically myself and a few friends, male, oh, that's important, on a holiday. We spot a group of women in the same hotel. Oh, I guess that's why. They seem pretty nice and quite attractive, I might say. So we walk over and have a chat with them, have a few drinks, all inclusive, so we got pretty sloshed. I end up going to the bar alone with the girl and somehow arrived fornicating with her behind the shower of the pool. Ew. We then arrived back to the group and it's just after midnight. Then to our horror, their parents were at the same hotel and came over to have a chat. Wait, how old are they? We were all dumbfounded, sat there thinking, why have they come with their parents? Seems strange. Cut a long story short, they left because they had a curfew and they weren't women, but 16-year-old girls. I'm over 20. I wanted to die. Ew.
Oh, God.
Oh, like, how do you not tell the difference?
That's why, like, you ask before you do anything. Like, it doesn't take that much work just to be like, hey.
Oh my god, it's not even that hard to tell apart. Like, even by, like, talking to somebody, you can tell their age.
Right.
Ew. I didn't like that story. I wish I didn't read that. Ayu, do you have a story?
Yeah, I found one on here. It's kind of gross, and it makes me feel really bad for the person that posted it. Okay, I'll start. A few years back, I went to my dad's house for Christmas. My parents are divorced and I rarely go, but my siblings put a lot of pressure on me, so I went. It took about 15 minutes before the stress got to me and I got a migraine. So we all sit down to open presents. Dad, his new wife, my siblings, crazy aunt, and my grandmother. We make it around the circle, opening presents for about 2 rounds before my grandmother gets up and leaves the room. My father starts fiddling around, waiting for my grandmother to come back, and spots something on the floor. It appears to be cat puke.
Ew.
He asks his wife if it is indeed cat puke. She had gotten up and followed my grandmother out and knew the truth. It was not cat puke, but my grandmother's poop. And the lady had poop all over the couch. It doesn't take long before we can smell the poop, and no amount of air freshener was fixing that. Grandma comes back in the room wearing nothing but a blanket around her lower half. The couch is covered with plastic and towels. My little sister is forced to sit next to my grandmother, and we are all expected to sit nicely and open more presents while pretending that my grandmother had not just pooped all over the couch. Also, the following day, my tooth exploded. Apparently, I had an abscessed tooth, but never felt a thing at all until it exploded. TLDR, Grandma pooped on the couch.
Oh my gosh.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting.
I feel so bad for that person.
Just imagine sitting there with fucking poop on the floor.
And the couch.
Why did they put plastic over it? Why didn't they clean it up?
I just feel bad
disgusting.
I feel bad for the sister that had to sit on the couch next to smelly grandma.
Yeah.
Oh. Old people do that though. I don't know why, because they can't control what they're doing. Because like I've worked in a few restaurants, and that's a normal thing. Like for old people to like throw their poop on the walls and shit.
No.
It's disgusting. Like what? Like two different jobs I had. We've had occasions where people literally just. Like old people have the diapers and they just like throw it all over the walls and on the floor.
Is that what we're gonna
Like then they'll come to the front desk like, oh, somebody made a mess in the bathroom and it was them. It's disgusting. There was one lady though that we had. One of my coworkers, she was in the bathroom with her, and she saw her because you could see, like, you could see underneath the stool, not the stool, the stall, and she just saw her just pooping straight on the floor.
Oh my god.
It's disgusting.
Do people have no, like, tact at all?
No, they're, like, disgusting as shit.
Is that what we're gonna become?
There's, like, no point in my life that I ever thought, like, oh, I'm gonna go in this bathroom and just shit on the floor.
Maybe in 50 years, your mindset on that will change.
Oh. RiiRii, do you want to read another story?
Oh. See if I can find one.
Yeah, I'm trying to find one now, too.
Wait, let me look up another Reddit. Maybe we could find, like, Reddit. Why are you doing that, computer? I didn't do that. Reddit Christmas creepypasta. Oh, wait, I found a few. Do you want to try that?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I found a long one called White Christmas Creepypasta. We'll read off one paragraph at a time, and we'll just keep switching since it's a fucking long one. Where are you? Oh, I'm like, I closed the messenger. I'm like, where'd they go? Okay, RiiRii, you could start off.
Let me just find the link.
This person lives in
This
Alabama.
is long.
It's fucking long. Maybe we'll get through it fast.
Are we going in the same order? RiiRii, you, then me?
Yep.
So, yes. Living in Lower Alabama, we rarely receive snow. I spent most of my life wishing for a white Christmas that never came. I have only seen snow twice in my 33 years here. I always wanted to share that with my 2 boys. I just knew that they would love to play in it. Now I find myself staring out my window at the mounds of that icy precipitation surrounding my home, regretting every wish I had ever made for a snow-covered Christmas. When I think about it,
dramatic.
When I think
Oh,
about
we're supposed to switch off.
What? Oh, right.
We're supposed to switch off every paragraph. When I think about it, it really started in summer. Our summers are always hot and extremely humid, but that year it was even more unbearable. We steadily saw temperatures of well over 100 degrees, and everyone I knew begged for relief. The heat wave lasted all the way until the week before Halloween. Then suddenly a massive hurricane spawned in the Gulf of Mexico. The weather forecaster for our local news frequently referred to it as a monster. Looking back, I would believe it was more of a demon. The demon brought hell with it, but a much different one that I had read about in the Bible. Ooh.
The storm passed, leaving devastation for miles around. It had affected every state within the southeast, but Florida most of all. Help was sent from various utility companies, government aid agencies, and even regular citizens to help with the relief. And when I say various, I mean from every state in our region. It was amazing to see the effort put forth to help the people that had lost everything. I am sure a lot of us thought that was the worst it could get. I wish that had been true, but that was when the rain started.
As November came, we felt the first droplets in our tiny town. It was an odd occurrence, but not odd enough to raise any eyebrows. I mean, how bad could a couple days of rain be, right? The problem came when days turned into weeks and low-lying areas became flooded. Homes in towns nearby were washed away in a matter of hours once the levees broke. My wife Susan constantly thanked God that our house was nestled on a high elevation among trees. I found myself thinking the same thing, but God had nothing to do with what happened. No God I could ever believe in any way.
The story's so religious, scary.
Yeah.
The week of Thanksgiving, the rain finally subsided, and I'm sure that was something everyone would say they were thankful for. The problem was what remained was the cold. That in itself was not strange, but the severity of it was. We saw temperatures close to freezing for the following week, and that was something we rarely saw until late January or early February. My oldest son, Jacob, began singing that silly song by Bing Crosby. I don't know what song he's talking about. My wife being tough at the thought of them saying so on Christmas Day. The foolish child in me felt the same.
The boys will finally get to see snow, Paul, Susan squealed.
You gotta squeal.
I know. I know. I can't wait to see Tommy waddling in it, I responded. Those words ring in my head even now. I have to fight back tears when I think of just how stupid I had been. We were so preoccupied with setting up decorations and buying presents that we were oblivious to what was happening all around us. The snow actually started falling the first week of December. It was up several inches within the first day. It was so amazing to see at first, but when it kept coming, some people became worried. If you have never been in the South when it snows, you probably would not understand. You see, we are not prepared for that kind of weather. Everything shuts down, people stay home and rarely go out driving. I know it sounds ridiculous to anyone else, but that is what happens. And that is true. Like, that happens here as well, if it ever snows.
It just kept coming. My wife and I had let the boys play in the fresh powder originally, but when it had gotten so high that I could barely walk in it freely, we decided it was best to keep them indoors. Hardware stores had started bringing in snow shovels to help clear paths, something that you rarely found in our town. I bought one of the last ones on the shelf as people scrambled to manage the icy foreign invader. The situation seemed to become worse as small flurries became near blizzards. My wife stayed glued to the news and weather broadcasts, not podcasts. That's what we're doing.
They're listening to us right now.
It appeared the southern states had almost been buried in the frigid powder. The president had actually issued a state of emergency, urging people in the northern portion to evacuate south.
That was when I finally started to be concerned. These people had been told to come south, but our situation was hardly any better. The weatherman stopped trying to be accurate. His predictions of an end to the madness never came. The temperatures continued to drop, and it was not long before we saw them go from 0 to negative digits. It was unheard of in my state for it to be that cold, and people were getting afraid. Plumbing fixtures began to burst from frozen pipes, and people were left without water until they could thaw. Our world had become a freezer in a few weeks, and none of us were prepared for it. My family found themselves wearing our thickest clothing, even outside. It felt like no matter how high I set the thermostat, I was not enough. We should have left then.
By Christmas, we had no power and utility companies had stopped trying to traverse the harsh conditions to repair down lines. Local officials had abandoned emergency protocols to save themselves. We began hearing rumors of our neighbors attempting to head further south into Florida. Susan suggested the same, but I reminded her of the destruction still left from the hurricane. I was afraid we would be worse off without shelter, so I made the decision to hunker down in our home. I cleared a path to the fireplace that had only been used for decoration and set to the task of getting a fire going. If it was not such a dire situation, my wife would have found amusement in me attempting something like that. I had never even seen someone use a fireplace, let alone light one.
After several...
Is this like creepy? Sorry. Go ahead.
After several attempts, we were able to burn what little wood that was readily available near our home. My family and I huddled around it, as if it were going to save us from the fate that waited outside. The whiteness had engulfed our home. The mounds had risen above the windows, breaking some of them. I was forced to reinforce each one to keep the cold out. We sealed every crack or crevice that could possibly let out the heat and tried to remain together. My wife wrapped our children in blankets and pulled them close. The boys did not understand, and we were afraid to tell them how serious the situation was. The fear that rested on my wife's face was enough to keep me from ruining what could be our last Christmas.
I'm so confused. Was this supposed to be a creepypasta, or is it just like an unfortunate story?
Well, it's kind of scary to think about. Like, they weren't expecting it to get so dire. Now they're like being locked in their homes with possibly no water, possibly no electricity.
Yeah.
It's scary. I would be scared.
Yeah, me too. It never gets that bad here, I promise.
Yeah, especially someone who's like never seen snow like that, like having it suddenly just downpour and like everyone just doesn't know what to do and it's chaos. Like, it sounds scary.
Yeah,
that would be scary, especially if you're in that like southern area where you're not really used to cold and snow.
Yeah, like I would have no idea what to do in this instance.
Because like in Chicago and stuff, that just sounds like normal stuff. Like, you might just have snow that's like up to your waist one day, and it's like, whatever. Okay, moving on. We still attempted to have a big dinner despite our ability to effectively cook. Wait, this is the right one. I thought I skipped it. Start over. We still attempted to have a big dinner despite our ability to effectively cook. I also learned how to cook within a fireplace for the first time. It would have been an interesting experiment if I had not been essential for survival at the time. We gave up on the idea of turkey or ham, but we had always had a decent stock of canned food. It was a habit I had picked up from my grandparents. I often wondered how they were faring during all of this, but I had my immediate family to worry about. Our world had been plunged into an endless sea of white. I even had nightmares of the stuff that Christmas Eve. Of the stuff? Nightmares of what? Wait.
The snow.
Of the stuff. Oh, okay. I can't read.
Okay. My children normally woke me early on Christmas morning, but when my eyes fluttered open, I assumed it was still night. The house was so dark that I could barely see my wife lying next to me. I slowly rose from my bed, still completely clothed, and nudged Susan awake. The house had become far colder than it should have been, and I immediately headed for the fireplace. The fire had gone out at some point, so I ran for the back door, pulling on my boots. My aim was to gather more wood to get the fire going again, but as soon as the door cracked open, I was pelted with a mixture of snow and ice. It stung my face, and I cursed at the door while trying to shut it again. Our home had been buried in the vicious powder, and I finally understood why no light permeated the windows. My watch read 9 o'clock, but it felt much earlier.
Susan stumbled into the living room, asking what I was doing. I told her what time it was, and confusion filled her eyes. She went for the window and was greeted with what I already knew. I do not remember ever seeing her quite so afraid, and the feeling was mutual. I buried my emotions down, though, knowing I had to be strong for my family. I told her to go check on the kids while I tried to get the fire going again. She disappeared down the hall, and I made my way to the dining room. The table and chairs had been passed down through my family for generations, but I knew it would have to be sacrificed. I set to dismantling the wooden chairs, but first, but was stopped by the sound of my wife's scream.
Stuff kind of gonna get interesting. I rushed through the hall, listening to the awful sound echo in my ears. I could feel tears forming in my eyes, but I pushed them back as I rounded the corner. She was grasping the door frame of our children's room. We had put them together so that Jacob could keep an eye on Tommy. I could see her body shaking as she stared into the room. Tears rolled over her cheeks as I turned to see inside. The window of their room had given to the weight of our captor. Despite my attempt strengthening it, snow had buried the boys in the night, and that was when I noticed the flakes of white all over my wife's hand. Susan had attempted to uncover them, and I could see the pale blue skin on their faces huddled together in Jacob's bed. It would have been a sweet scene if they were not their skin tone, something Susan would have taken a picture of, but this was not the scene. Why did they leave them in a room with a window if the snow's that high?
I don't know.
See, this is why your kids died, because you're stupid.
Maybe there was no area without windows. Some houses are like that.
But that's so weird. Like, you would not put them near a window. Like, you don't even put people near a window during a thunderstorm.
Yeah, I'm like, I think the only room in my house that doesn't have windows is my bathroom. But even, like, the master bathroom has windows in it. So it's like every room has windows. It's like, you can't really avoid it.
That's weird, though. It's like, don't they even tell you in, like, your emergency stuff that you need to stay in, like, a corner away from the window? Even if you have a window?
Yeah, like, during, like, tornado warnings and stuff, they always tell us to, like, find a room without windows, usually, like, in the center of the house, which is usually a bathroom. But it's like, that would mean that their only option was to make the kids sleep in the bathroom.
I mean... But,
I mean, I guess they maybe should have, considering the kids are dead.
Yeah. So...
Is it my turn to read?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay. I pulled Susan away as I tried to hold back the sick feeling in my stomach. I felt as though I could release what little Christmas dinner I had in me on the floor at any moment. Soon her sobs subsided, but when I looked into her eyes, she simply looked numb. I had never seen her this way, and I tried to break her from this trance she seemed to be in, but she said nothing. Her eyes would not even turn my direction when I spoke. Something had broken inside Susan that morning, and I do not blame her. I sat her next to the fireplace and wrapped her in a blanket while I returned to the dining room. The polished wood did not want to burn, but I was determined to give us warmth, so I did not stop until we had fire.
I made it a point to ask Susan to stay by the fire while I returned to the boys' room. I could not leave them that way, but when I reached the door I found myself pausing just outside. I felt the warm and salty specks across my cheeks before I even saw them. I slowly stepped inside and slid gloves over my hands. I finished clearing away the snow and noticed why they had not simply come to our room. The wood I had used to seal off the window had struck my oldest first. It left a gash near his temple that would have knocked a grown man unconscious. I could only imagine his 10-year-old body had not lasted long after. Tommy had obviously woken after. His tiny form clung to his big brother like a teddy bear. I internally cursed myself for not putting them to bed with us that night, but I knew it was too late for that kind of thinking. I removed their bodies and wrapped them in blankets before placing them in the guest room.
I took one final look at their tiny bedroom, a place that had held so much joy previously. I imagined the two of them playing and sometimes bickering. My lips tried to curl upward, but they could not. My eyes dropped to the floor as I turned away and shut the door. I have not returned to that room since, and I doubt I will. I just returned to the living room in hopes of comforting Susan. But when I got there, and the blanket was all that remained by the fire. A quick search of the house revealed that the back door had been opened and tunnel had been formed in the frigid wall on the other side, leaving the floor inside covered in snow.
I tried to follow Susan's footsteps, but eventually they disappeared behind a solid wall of that cursed white. I could only imagine her frantically digging through it and the sound of what was above coming down upon her body. I tried to dig into it myself in search of her body, but the layer that remained was frozen solid. It was like digging my hands into cement, and I knew that Susan could not have survived it. Even if my mind did not want to believe it at the time, I found myself picking at it with tools anyway, feeling as though I had nothing left to do. I do not know how much I cried while working that pointless task, but I do know it started to freeze to my cheeks. I did not stop until my arms could not lift again, and that is when I sat among the snow and stared at what my world had become.
I lost track of how long I sat there or when I decided to come back to the fire. I do remember when I started burning the Christmas gifts and how hard a choice that had been. I opened each one slowly and savored the idea of the children playing with it for the first time. I could even see Susan standing over them with her camera in hand. She would be giving her biggest smile and snapping away to save each memory. She loved taking pictures, but what I had to do did not need to be captured on any sort of film. I started to feel the numbness that night, the same numbness that overtook Susan earlier that day. It was as cold as the snow that surrounded me, and all I could think was, this had been my fault. I should have escaped with my family when I still had the chance. I do not know if it was pride, ignorance, or both, but the guilt was too much. It consumed me and took away everything this holiday was supposed to be about.
I started writing this in hopes that someone reads it. I do not know what has happened to the rest of the world, only what has happened to me. I do not know how long I can survive here. My food is running low, and I have run out of things to burn. I cannot even say for certain how long I have been here since my watch has stopped turning, and I still cannot see the sun. I think I'll try to dig myself out tomorrow, and if you find this, know I do not simply give up. I just wish I had done this sooner. I am sorry, Susan, Jacob, and Tommy. You deserved better than this. I hope you can forgive me. Sincerely, Paul Richardson. I did not like that.
Yeah, that was scary.
Scary and sad.
Because I'm dying, for real. Shit, shut up. So what did you guys think?
Scary and sad.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah.
I felt disappointed. I don't know what I was expecting, but like I wasn't expecting like a survival story, I guess.
Are you expecting more of like actual like creepy kind of horror?
Yeah, like it didn't seem scary to me because it just kind of felt like bad decisions on their part.
Yeah, it was more of just like, I guess, anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
So that was our end of our Reddit segment today. Yay!
Yay!
We read about a whole family dying. Yeah. That's the Christmas spirit for you.
Grandma poops on the couch and then a whole family dies.
So for our final music break of today, we have Pumpkin Spice Heist with their song Suki ni nacha ikenai hito. Here we go.
会えない夜寂しい朝好きになっちゃいけない人だったわ 気さくなその優しさ自分自身気づいてないもしもそれがわざとじゃアカデミー賞も受賞もね独占欲湧いてくるそんな気持ち初めてよ素敵だったあのときめきを誰にもあんな風に素敵な強気なその正義感キラキラ目が輝いてるそんな小さなことも熱く語る変わった人キスの意味もわからないであるがままに恋してる
Okay, that was it. And that brings an end to our Christmas special, which wasn't very cheery. I feel like we're all very low energy today.
Maybe.
Kinda.
Kind of. I don't know.
It's
It
the
just
end of
feels
the week.
very mellow. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's Sunday. Well, as we're recording this, it is a Sunday. And it's kind of, I think we all kind of been really busy. So it's kind of like, we're all a little pooped out, I guess.
Yeah,
A little bit.
A little bit.
don't talk about poop.
And it is
No more poop talk.
not near the couch, at least. So, with this episode ending, we only have one episode left. And then we're going to go on a brief hiatus. I didn't say this yet to you guys. Well, now you're hearing it. We're going to take like maybe a few weeks break. We'll probably be back by the end of January. But as of now, the next episode will be the last, but then will be a little bit of a break. And then we're going to be mixing stuff up a little bit. So look forward to that. And if you listen to this today, thank you for spending this. I don't know how long this is. I might split this up into two because that long ass story. I might just make that story its own separate video. We'll
I
see.
think that's a good idea.
That-
That
I
took up
thi-
most of the recording.
Yeah, I think that should be a whole different thing. So before we leave, as always, we got our ending PR statements. With the end of the year coming, the end of our first season comes as well.
To celebrate, we have one final episode for the year of 2020.
This episode will include all the members who are in the running for the top Hello Project vote.
Who will be crowned victorious?
It's out of 4 contestants.
It's anyone's game.
GVL had many music releases this year.
The Kenshusei has released 4 songs in total.
You can check them out in our covers playlist on our YouTube channel.
Do you have a favorite song?
Let us know down in the comments.
Thank you for watching today.
We'll see you guys again. Merry Christmas! That was so energetic.